Sweet seek ye first. And isn't that a wonderful entree to our talk today?
It is.
Reverend Maggie and I have been thrilled to offer these prosperity talks. It's the third opportunity to develop our prosperity consciousness. And today's topic is abundance in service.
It is. And we're looking at how we round out the experience, the knowing and the interaction within the divine flow of prosperity, and how we show up in service to one another. And in doing so, how we open ourselves wider with love in our hearts to receive our highest good in any given day.
And we have much to be grateful for, and I'm certainly grateful for Owen Housen for putting this together, our board.
Hi, I'm Sandy Kaiser, President of the Board of Trustees. At this time of year, I am filled with gratitude for the spiritual nourishment I receive from Unity of New Braunfels.
What I am so grateful for about Unity of New Braunfels is the open minds and the open hearts that embrace everyone who is participating, whether it's in-house or virtually.
Unity of New Braunfels, particularly right now, I'm grateful for our spirit groups and for the classes, for the daily prayer call that keeps me in touch with my friends and with people, and it helps me to take my mind off everything that's going on in the world right now.
What I'm most grateful for with Unity of New Braunfels, and that is an easy thing for me because it's the people, it's you that I am grateful for. You are what make Unity of New Braunfels. It isn't the beautiful building that we have, it is you. And I miss you. I just look forward to being able to hug you. I can tell you I love you. And until we meet personally, namaste.
So one thing that I really appreciate and am grateful for with Unity of New Braunfels is the deep connection that I feel with the congregation. Whether it's getting to speak in the morning at the spirit call and just doing a check-in, or the social media, I swear all my friends, my Unity friends that share things on Facebook, it's always the most uplifting thing, and it just makes me smile. Or getting to watch Sunday service and connecting with whoever's the prayer chaplain of the day, or getting to enjoy the music that Ron and the Unity singers put together. It's just this fantastic warmth. And as much as I miss those hugs, I still feel that close bond that I got whenever I would go on Sunday morning and get those hugs in person.
One of the things I really enjoy about Unity of New Braunfels is the 8 o'clock morning prosperity prayer, where we all call in and connect, and it's just a great way for me to start the day, and I'm very grateful.
Unity has been a place where I'm free to be myself, where I can express myself however I want, and I don't fear rejection. Unity is about love, and I feel great love from this community, so I'm very thankful this year.
And isn't that a testament? Here we have the wonderful board who are leaders of this community, who serve. They do so much behind the scenes, and yet they are grateful for what they have by this community, and that's what service does. Now, there is this quote, this passage from Scripture that we all know, we've all heard before. It's Luke 6:38. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. This is such an important part of our prosperity consciousness, because it's not the first automatic thing we think, that what we're going to give is in turn what we're going to give back. And that's where service is so important in our lives, because we can determine what it is we want to be of service. We can be of service to caring for our planet, to the earth. We can have our service be to other living things or to people, young people, old people. We could be of service to our community, to the world. There's so much, you know?
There is. This is the scripture that reminds me of how important it is for me to get out of my own head and how I am an expression of God in action, how we each are an expression of God in action. And there are days, and I think we've especially been challenged by laziness or the feeling of being a sloth during the pandemic. I mean, we get weighed down by the headlines and the positive testing and the death toll rising, and it seems to just, for me, suck the wind out of my sails. But I know that there is a wide world out there that I can be in service to without having to be in person. And I am reminded when I read this scripture that I need to be an active participant in that service flow, because inevitably, somewhere today, tomorrow, or down the line, I'm going to find myself in need of a lending hand, in need of a kind word, or a knock on the door, and we just left a casserole here because we thought you might need it. Those loving acts of kindness that remove us from the monotony, the humdrum, the heaviness in our minds of the human experience, reconnect us into the flow of service, acting through the heart of God and allowing that connection to be made heart to heart and uplift us in giving and in receiving. And I love this next quote that comes from Cornelius Neil Plantinga. He preferred to be called Neil, where he says the way to thrive is to help others thrive. The way to flourish is to help others flourish. The way to fill yourself is to spend yourself. So it's a perfect shared wisdom of the law of circulation. And we do have to look at all of the various aspects that come into this thing that we call prosperity. And what a wonderful way to say, I am spending of myself. And we liked that it tied back to our first talk on our prosperity series about thriving. We can survive. I can just keep my head down and go one step in front of the other and get by moment to moment. But the way in which I thrive is to make a deliberate, conscious effort to be in service. And it's such small things that mean so much to people. When you just call out of the blue, when the prayer chaplain calls to just check in, or when you know and sense that someone is smiling at you when they hold the door open so you don't have to touch the door from behind your mask. It just lifts my heart when I am given to in service, and I love the opportunity to experience prosperity in a thriving way by, again, getting out of my own way, digging deep past the point of where I feel physically tired, and know that I have a responsibility to spread service and kindness into the world. What do you think?
Well, I love that. That reminds me of that movie, Pay It Forward.
Oh, yes.
I love that. And that concept that when we can see an act of unconditional love, of a kindness, we can adopt that for ourselves and we can practice that ourselves. Mm-hmm. I love how here in this community, when I'm driving around, I'm always allowed to make a left-hand turn or to come out of a parking lot because someone will slow down or stop and let me out. And then I, in turn, when I'm seeing someone who wants to get in or move across, I can slow down. I'm not in that big of a rush that I can't be compassionate and kind on the road. These are ways that we can thrive by helping others thrive, putting others first. And I love this word flourish, because the opposite of it is just getting by. When you just, like my lawn right now, it's just getting watered once a week. It's just getting by. It's surviving, but it's not exactly flourishing. It's got a little tan in with its green. But when we can adopt the putting others first, and then finding ways to spend ourselves by fulfilling kindness, compassion. I love how this links right to this wonderful quote from this very wise woman, former First Lady Barbara Bush. If human beings are perceived as potentials rather than problems, as possessing strengths instead of weaknesses, as unlimited rather than dull and unresponsive, then they thrive and grow in their capabilities. I think this is so important, because when we can adopt an attitude where we can look at anyone and see them as full of potential, now this is really easy to do when you look at a newborn baby. It's full of potential. Look at that beauty and the radiance. Well, how about if we look at the middle-aged person, at our neighbor, at our leaders, with the same perspective of there's potential. And within that, they have strengths that we don't even know about. I'm finding new strengths in myself that I didn't know about. So there's always more that we can do to thrive and grow in our capabilities rather than just getting by. And we might be just repeating ourselves of thriving and surviving or forgiveness and unforgiveness, these things we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, but they're important for the consciousness that we want, don't you think?
I do. I think they're all very valid, essential pieces of the puzzle, because we've all hit that wall in prosperity. We've all wondered where the money went. We've wondered where the service went. We've wondered where our energy is gone and why we've started to lack in motivation. And it comes back to one of the elements of prosperity. So I think it's been valuable that we've walked through this as reminders. This isn't anything you don't know. If you haven't heard it before in a Unity Church, I know you know it in your bones, because this is the truth of what we were born with. And I really appreciate the way Barbara Bush puts this learning, because it reminds me of Myrtle Fillmore. It reminds me of another way of talking about the living curriculum. So for those that may not have heard that term, the living curriculum was a teaching philosophy that said in every child, in every adult, you are perfect just the way you are. And you are inherently wise, you are inherently knowledgeable, you are inherently loving. And I don't need to pour it into you. But what I do in service is hold the space to allow that to be extracted from you, for you to witness your own growth, to witness measurable changes and elevation in your consciousness, creative ways in connecting to people, and finding your way through the unique journey that is your life. And I love that it is a privilege, it is an honor for us to be in service to one another through listening, through connecting, through having simple conversation. and holding that container, that high watch that allows for each of us to develop and awaken on our own time. And when we do, the gift is something that can never be taken away. Once you know, you cannot unknow, especially when it has to do with your own spiritual growth. And so Charles Fillmore is who we have as our last quote from today. And he says that in the new economy, we shall serve for the joy of serving, and prosperity will flow to us and through us in rippling streams of plenty. I'm not exactly sure of the date that he wrote this, but I love the idea of the new economy shall be the joy of service. It isn't, I'm going to get mine before you get yours. It's not that my land is bigger than your plot of land, or my bank account has more zeros in it than yours. It's not a competition. It is the assurance that we are all in the flow and we are on this journey together. And the currency is flowing in and through us as we give in service with joy. Because when we are giving freely of ourselves, when we are connecting freely to others with no expectations of what we might get in return, we are abundant. We are abundant in service. We are blessed beyond measure. And we are walking the truth that God is our source and supply in all manners of life. So God shows up on your doorstep with a basket of carrots. God shows up on your doorstep saying, may I cut your lawn? God shows up on your doorstep saying, I think you've been having a rough day. Could I just invite you to talk about it while I listen? That's what I view this joyous exchange in currency being. And the joy is contagious when we do for others. Don't you think?
I do. And this reminds me of a simple little example. And help me with this demonstration.
Okay.
So with COVID, there's since March, there's been multiple times when I felt dejected. I felt I don't know how to go on. And with that, I began to focus on the survival. I'm weak. And I have the perception that my candle is out. I don't have what it takes to even light the candle anymore because I don't know what to do next. Because this COVID situation has brought forth a mountain of unknowns. But what I do know is that we always have within us what we need for our very next breath, what we need for our very next step. And we can do so much more together. Because if I don't have an ability to light my candle, to light my light, I know that there is someone else that can be available to light it.
And I will gladly do that.
Thank you.
In service.
Because this is how we work together. And it's a simple little example, but it's a powerful inner knowing that we have what we need and we don't have to do it all. Because the joy of service is getting to be of joy of serving with others. And that's where our community finds its strength. As Heather said, it's that connection that I feel, even virtually, with each other. By showing up, by paying attention. So it's our powerful landscape team or the spirit groups that clean up our labyrinth or the team that provides this Sunday service. It's all part of being of service to the greater whole. And what great wisdom we can do by creating it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful for that.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.